We're live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Chair Natalie Ziegler is under the weather today, so I, your vice chair, Aaron M. Kaufman, will preside over this meeting. I thank you to all of the people on YouTube that are watching. We're going to get right started because it's a busy time of session. So we just have a light agenda today. One bill authored by our friend and colleague, Delegate Chao Wu of District 9A. So, Dr. Wu, if you would explain the amendments that you have worked with Ms. Ersprung, representing the Montgomery County Board of Education on, and what the bill would do now, that would be great. And we do want to thank you for being open to Patty's feedback and taking the feedback so well. And so take it away, Dr. Wu, Dr. Wu.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about my two amendments. So this two amendments had been discussed in Howard County delegation as well. Exactly the same amendment. The first amendment just make sure we're not incur extra physical conditions to the school system. So then the amendment is just close the school for students at this moment. So that's exactly the same practice the school system is doing now. The second language just make the second amendment, and I don't know whether we have it right now, but it just make the language
members should have gotten both amendments.
Yeah,
because my goal is to vote on it today.
Yeah, that amendment comes from our HOCO delegate Jessica Feldman, and she work together, make sure the language is cleaner than originally. So both of them really just clean up the language, and the first one is really just try to remove that physical impact, which had been brought up by Montgomery County school system.
Okay, and I thank you, Dr. Wu. And I want to just ask Patty, because it's my understanding that MCPS can live with this legislation or is okay with it, since Dr. Wu, Delegate Wu, collaborated with you and addressed your concerns. Is that accurate, that you're no longer opposed?
Position to begin with, the testimony that I provided was informational. The board still has not taken a position on this proposed bill. The amendment to push it back to start for the 26-27 calendar school year certainly helps. I think that the change in the language probably helps to remove it from being all buildings and offices to just being closed to students. But I still do have a concern that with the bill mandating that we be closed to students, there could be a fiscal impact, but I think the chance of there being a fiscal impact is reduced by making it a school closure for students and not for offices and students, not being a system-wide closure.
Okay. Does anyone, do any of my colleagues have a question for Delegate Wu before we move forward?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of questions. One was MCEA in Montgomery County consulted in the amendments, and two, will the supporting services employees lose salary on those days?
Delegate Wu, please answer.
Sure, thank you, Delegate Collison. So first one, we talked with them offline, right? But I think they don't have position on this right now. And then the other point is, this is just codified the current practice, but at the same time, we don't know what happens in the future because the contract negotiation can go anyway, right? We have no idea. But this is really just codify what they're doing right now. So I don't know what may change or not change for the future.
Yes,
so,
but go ahead, Bonnie, sorry.
Right, under this amendment, and I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it, I just want to be clear. If they don't come to work, if the supporting services, the SEIU members don't come to work, they typically don't get paid. However, that being said, I think what this would do is then it would just mean that the school year would go a little longer in those years where the holidays are honored for students. And then so those lost days would be made up. That's what I'm assuming. And
And
maybe Patty, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong on that.
Delegate Collison, so the school will not be longer than right now because that's what we're doing now. So
Can you say that again, Delegate Wu? I didn't
yeah,
catch it.
so the school will not be longer than what we're doing now because that's the practice we're doing now. So this bill, the school is taking those days off when the holiday fall in school year, right, for students. So this is just really kind of codify their practice, make sure it really happened and it will not change. And even there may be other changes in school in the calendar committee.
Thank you. And do you have any further questions, Delegate Collison, or do any of my other colleagues have questions? I see Delegate Crutchfield has joined us.
And she has a question.
Thank you. Delegate Crutchfield, you have a question for Delegate Wu.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Delegate Wu, I just wanted to make sure I understood sort of the selection process for the actual holidays that were selected. How was that selection process done, and specifically in you determining which holidays would be
Sure.
selected?
And Delegate Crutchfield, that's a great question. This is not selected by myself or all the sponsors. That's selected by the school system. That's what they're doing now. I think when the school system select those holidays, it's really based on the demographics and their kind of community advocacy. So it's not from me. It's actually what the school is doing now. They choose those holidays.
Okay.
Take those days off for our students.
Okay, because I noticed one holiday that is both a federal and state holiday, even though it may not necessarily fall on a school day, is Juneteenth. And that would be June 18th. So I noticed that that's not included, and I'm
No,
just
that
curious,
will be officially off. School will be closed.
possibly, depending on
It's a federal holiday, right?
depending on snow days, all the other extra days, they could actually be in school on that day.
If that's the case, we can add that, right? But it's a federal holiday and the
Yes, it is
school
a
should be
federal
closed.
holiday.
Yeah.
Correct.
But mhm.
That is correct.
But if that happened, I definitely will advocate we add that, right? But I hope the school board will make the right decision. That, right, is a federal holiday. We should really recognize and respect that. It's a very important part of our history, and I hope that it will not happen.
Delegate Charkoudian, you're the only one that of my colleagues that hasn't spoken, and you don't have to. I just want to make sure you don't have any questions or comments for Delegate Wu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I did raise my hand. I think I would be interested in the answer to Delegate Collison's question. I do want to make sure that whatever we do doesn't lead to anything with a decrease in income for any of the support workers who are already, well, most people in our schools are not paid what they're worth. But on the Juneteenth, I actually would recommend that we are explicit in this bill and in all bills, because I think we can't necessarily count on the federal government to continue to honor all of the complex history of this country. And I think to the extent that, if anything were to happen to the federal designation of that holiday, we would still feel committed to making sure it was being recognized in the state and in the county and in the schools. So I would support an amendment explicitly adding Juneteenth, which may be redundant right now and hopefully would forever, but to the extent that things may change, I think we should have it in there.
Okay. Well, Delegate Wu, and maybe I'm misreading my colleagues, but it does not appear that my colleagues are ready to vote on this bill at this time. And if people would like to vote, and I somehow are misreading the Zoom room, speak now. But what I recommend that you do, Delegate Wu, and I understand, I'm sorry, because I know you wanted to get this done, but we better do it. We have to do it right, even if it takes it a little longer. Can you please check with the SEIU on the ramifications of your bill on the pay for supportive services? Those are paraeducators, building service workers, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, bus attendants, and other individuals like that.
I will definitely check that. So,
and then also perhaps because I share Delegate Charkoudian's concern. I understand why you said what you said about it being a federal holiday, but without being partisan, I'm not sure that just because something has been a federal holiday, it will always be. So could you draft an amendment with Ms. Hunt before next week
I would love to do that.
about Juneteenth?
Yes, I'll do that. Sure. I really appreciate that feedback. Thank you. I
Mm.
even didn't think about it, unfortunately. I thought it's a federal holiday. We should take that off, right? But I think both delegates made a great comments. We want to really make sure it'll be there, right? And
Okay.
officially be there.
And
I will do that for Howard County as well.
I know it's a tight timeline, Delegate Wu, so text me if it's problematic. But if you could have those conversations and get those amendments drafted and hopefully get back to me on your progress by Tuesday, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure, I will do that.
And so is everybody content with holding it for a week?
Yes.
Okay. Lorig, are you good with, Delegate Charkoudian, you're good with that? Okay, so she didn't say, so I think.
Sorry, maybe you can't, I was just waving. Yes, I'm.
I couldn't
thumbs
see
up.
it.
Yeah,
and
no, that's
Delegate
okay.
Crutchfield is good with it,
That's good.
so that is what we're going to do. Does anybody have anything else for the good of the order that they wish to share? Otherwise I can give you 45 minutes of your day back.
Good.
Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate the
Yes,
opportunity.
sure.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
I look forward to speaking with you, and we'll have our meeting at 12 o'clock next Thursday to hopefully be able to vote on Delegate Wu's bill.
Yes,
thank-
manifest.
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Vice Chair.
And so please plan on being here, Delegate Wu, if there are any additional questions for you.
Yes,
All right. Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.